Hello and welcome to episode 210 of the Talking Wednesday podcast. It is Dex and Punk for you today. Yes, elephant in the room, that we are on the back of the wrong Sheffield double, the Sheffield double that shouldn't exist. But given their squad, it is worth, if you look at
if you actually look at it, it's actually worth what it is.
Over 100 million more than the Wednesday squad, let's be honest. Because do you know where 15 million of our value comes from?
Go on.
Shay Charles and James Beadle.
Oh, we don't own them. Brilliant.
Yeah. But it's a case of, yes, that happened today. Before we get into it, we'll talk about our weeks, but we are going to get into the action quite a lot. This might be a shorter podcast. It's going to be a match reaction. Heading into the international break, we have got some content planned. We'll be talking about the England, the international break and things like that. We'll be doing a Talking Wednesday special, weirdly, on Sheffield Wednesday speculation, but half of that will probably be about England as well.
Yeah.
And the first Thomas Tuchel camp. We might even talk about Scotland if there's anything relevant to talk about Scotland. You're welcome, Andy. Right, okay, so Jake, how's your week been, mate?
Tough week. Been just a lot of soul searching. Had a death in the family and it wasn't the best. It came suddenly and it just, what the one you start realising how much of your family you got and that kind of mortality kind of thing and stuff. So it kind of hit me a little bit, but also made me very grateful for my own little family I've got who are just little terrorists, to be fair. When you see people who have got kids and they always say don't have a second. Because, Hunter's second child syndrome out the wazoo. They are completely different kids. He wants to, mate. Just not even worth talking about. The only good thing that happened this week, I have finally upgraded to a new PC after about 2 to 3 years of saving, which had been a long time coming. I've gone from an i5 8 gen 1080 Ti to an i7 14 gen with a 5070 in, which is lovely for playing the games I want to play because I'll tell you something.
Hang on, a 5070?
Yeah.
Right, so you're going to be gaming through to 2030 with 2040 with that.
Yep. That's the reason I did it.
Yeah.
I just got really sick and tired. As sad as it sounds, the games I play are simulation, truck sim, farm sim. There's a game called Ready or Not, which is a really good first person, like you've got to be a SWAT leader, which is fun. But my PC bottlenecked all the time, wouldn't run it. And now I'm like playing a game and go, wow, this is what actual good graphics looks like. I'm not used to this. So it's really good.
It was like that when I had the TV.
Was it?
When I got the TV. Yeah. You've got the TI as well?
No, I didn't get a TI because the TI wasn't in stock and I wasn't willing to wait like 4 weeks. I was going to get the TI, but I decided against it.
I'm looking at the bench. So you've not like broke the bank.
No.
Just semi-broke the bank if you've not gone for the TI. But then again, the TI, yeah.
It was a different,
I assume you've had to buy have you had to buy like the clock boosters and the cooling stuff? And right, so you have broken the bank and you've not just bought the graphics card.
No, it's all rebuilt up, new case, new everything.
Okay, yeah, you broke the bank.
I literally had the thing where I've been saving for a while, and it was a difference between. I ideally wanted to go on an AMD processor because they are a lot faster nowadays, better for gaming and stuff, but it was the difference in about, I think it was like 200 quid. I'm like, it's not worth it for the extra 200 quid, considering...
You have to go through thermal paste a lot more, I find, with AMD as well.
And I had...
They run hotter.
And I also had the thing of going, if I went the extra 200 quid, what I'm going from is a massive difference, so it's not even worth it. I could use that extra money to probably just upgrade a monitor or something, or shove it to one side to fix bits with my house again. But apart from that, it's been a good week, just soul searching. I'm actually kind of glad the international break coming up. Results aside, it is what it is. How's your week been, mate?
Quiet, fairly quiet this week. Prepping a little bit of live stuff, doing some work transition stuff, but just trying to move forward and have a think of things to do work-wise towards the end of the year sort of thing. So it's just more of being a planning week.
Yeah.
In general, I've been playing a few games when I've had time.
What are you playing?
I've obviously been at work, but I'm playing... I'm a child. I've started playing Pokemon Violet again. As a mate of mine was playing it, and I was like, that looks fun.
ADHD. Oh, I can do that as well.
Yeah. Purely because I saw the new trailers and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go on for something that's just brings me back to my comfort level of childhood and things like that. After I've just gone off the back of like Kingdom Come and games like that. I finished The Witcher.
Yeah.
Finally, after years of not getting around to actually fully finishing The Witcher, picking it up and putting it down. And yes, I love it. It's fantastic.
If you want...
Anybody who wonders about Ciri being the Witcher in the third one is an absolute idiot, because if you play in the fourth one, because if you played the third one...
if you know you're bored in an evening, especially on a Thursday or Friday, watching Jack rage at Elden Ring is the best thing ever. Like,
I just know what that's going to be like. I'm about to play Elden Ring myself.
We played Jack at EAFC, and
yeah, that's interesting in itself.
It's fun when he goes a bit ragey. Now try Elden Ring on the matter. Oh my god!
I fell off AAFC hard. Like, I'm just not. They broke all. I was really enjoying Ultimate Team, and then they put all these stupid free cards in, and it ruined the online component.
Yeah.
And I was like, you've killed it. You were doing really well at the pacing, and then you just started giving everyone free cards. It did my head in. Because I can't use them in the series I make.
Yeah.
It's all right if you like, you know, doing it properly. But they didn't, like, you know, if they'd have given Evo equivalent of that, maybe. If I could have had, like, the equivalent of the Zidane in Evo, make Barry Bannon actually into Zidane, cool.
Yeah, that would be good.
But I can't.
No.
So I fell off that quite hard. Yeah, but been watching bits of football. I need to, really, for what we do on the internet, I need to watch a lot of football. So I did cave and buy a month of TNT so I could keep into the...
How much is that costing you a month?
It was $31.99.
You really did cave.
Yeah. Yeah. But the reason I was doing that is because I used to like... They have quite a lot of the leagues on there. So when you're trying to like talk about Wednesday and keep an eye on players, I like to look at how they play in different countries.
Yeah.
Well, I like to look at like different leagues, and you know, because that way I'm a bit more informed when it comes to us talking about transfer windows and players coming from other leagues.
See, I started watching a lot of Serie A again, and ironically,
I was watching a bit,
mainly because Fizz went there. I wanted to see how he was doing, and wow, we dropped the ball on that one. But yeah. I think I think it's good to have a good eye on nearly most league, because when it comes to talking about players, like you say, it helps. Like when we were looking at Maguire, I started getting into a lot of the MLS stuff to see who else is around. And you know what? Those markets should be what we're tapping up. There's some good players in those markets and cheap.
It's just the whether they adapt to the league, isn't it?
Yeah.
The adaptation's a big one. All right, we're going to have to talk about it. We lost the derby. Streamed it. It was boring. My opinion, we didn't deserve to lose it, but also we didn't really deserve to win it. It had a point written all over it. Again, very similar to the first game.
Yep.
Feels a bit weird coming off it. Because also, again, mate, I don't have that sinking feeling I do in these derbies.
No.
And I don't know if it's because I've moved and I wasn't able to get to either derby this year, which is pretty much a first in that regard, you know what I mean? And I don't have as much of the workplace banter, etc., and all of that. But I actually think it's more likely that it's because of the positions of the two squads and the different transition periods we're in at the minute. And I don't feel the same as I used to this season about it. if we were a little bit more level, I guess in a way,
if we were where we were, say in December, where we were really close to getting into those playoffs, and say from January to now, there'd been a huge push to still be in, I think it would have been a little bit more of, oh, there's something on this, where this just felt like we're mid-table, we're a team in big transition, we're a team that don't know what's going to happen next season, regardless if Danny stays or goes, whatever happens. It could be a case of we're in a completely new transition, new refresh because 11 players are out of contract and going in. And then you look at Sheffield United, they are level with Leeds. But the thing is, when you look at both Leeds and Sheffield United, they have both got a loss in them out of nowhere. They both got a way of dropping clangers. So you weren't sure if today were going to be their clanger. As a game, we did a typical Wednesday, played well for the first 15 minutes each half, and then let a team get into the game. And when we let teams get into the game, we drop off. We drop off really badly. And I'll be honest with you, yes, they got the goal, and yes, it's from poor defending from us. But the thing that kept them in it was their keeper, Cooper. If they didn't have Cooper in between the sticks, I don't think it would have been easy for them to do it. Like, I think...
I've always rated him. I've
very
always
good keeper.
rated him. And you know what? There's not many signings that go there that I go, oh. But when Cooper went there, I was like,
he was a steal of well. They paid
that's
nothing.
a really good signing.
And he's theirs. Like,
I was banging on about how we should have signed him for ages when he was at Plymouth. And he was a really good signing for them.
As a game, I don't think it was too bad, but I also don't think we... Oh, it's weird. Away from home, we are fantastic, and we haven't said that for so many seasons. We've now gone to the bit where at home we struggle, and there's something about our home games at the minute that feel off. Like, it just feels off. Like there's something brewing behind the scenes, or something don't feel right, or it could even be the case of the people who would have normally gone cannot afford it anymore, who would have done it, so they're staying away. There's a lot who are not going due to protest.
That's what I thought in terms of the atmosphere. Obviously, it's very hard when you're not at the game, but I have chatted to a few people that I usually go with, to be fair, who were there. And it's not the same. I expected it to be like Peterborough was.
Yeah.
Because that Peterborough reminded me of derbies of old and the atmosphere that Hillsborough can really do, where you're on them all the time. You don't let the lulls happen. But the atmosphere wasn't there. The game felt flat. I think Wednesday were up for it. There was a lot of heart from players like Pato and the likes.
Yep.
Their goal was absolutely gifted. It was such a poor goal to concede again.
Heart can only get you so much, though.
We don't have a striker, man.
No.
Like, Smith was ending up right-hand side and whipping crosses in half of the time, and he's literally like our only recognised striker.
On hindsight, everyone would have said yes to Ugbo, right? From what he did last season, you think, great. He's not been it this season, and generally, I think it's a mixture of service, confidence. You notice he's not been in the squad for the last 3 games.
But I still think we look a better side with him in it, even though he's not scoring, and he's out the squad.
It was a weird one where I think we do and we don't. The thing is, the issue we had today is we finally getting crosses into the box. Smith is attacking him, but he's the only one attacking him. It was only Smith.
This is what I'm saying. Like, Smith is making the crosses half the time because he's ended up on the right-hand flank. They marked Gassama out of the game because it's very obvious that we were going to try and run the game through Gassama.
When Gassama did get going, he had him down. But he only had it, I think he only did it twice all game.
They were also...
We're very predictable.
They had the Dirty United tag back in the second half. They were getting away with a lot from the ref, actually. In the first half, whenever we made a small challenge or anything, or even when they dived, they were around the ref wanting to get, doing the Premier League ego, give them a card. And in the second half, they came out like a Warnock side, fouling us half the time, and the ref wasn't harsh on them at all. So they kind of got away with it there. Like, I'm pretty shocked that they didn't have a red when there was studs into Gassama's stomach
with
from
the
Diaz. And I know
Gassama.
people might say that's a bit soft to say that because it's a derby. He'd already had a yellow. I'm sorry, but any other game or any other situation, if after you've lost the ball and there's been a challenge, you purposely put your studs into a player as they're walking, that's a card.
Yeah. I'll say it now. I'll say it now, and I'm going to come across as right bitter. But if it comes out again with stuff with Wilder over the weekend, like it did last time, I'm sorry, it needs to be done. There's a thing of being respectful. If you're going to do it in private,
it's
tell people.
It's a mess if he does it again.
Yeah, if he does
he just loses all the professionalism. I get being a fan.
Yeah.
But you are a manager of as he says, I'm a manager of a Premier League football club and a referee was eating a sandwich and I find that disrespectful when you're talking to a Premier League manager. So how professional and respectful is it of a fellow manager when you are singing the chants that and in a pub environment about one of your colleagues?
I will give
you're using the chants that are used to degrade them.
I will give credit to Wilder at the end. He held up a Joe Baldock shirt to the fans, and I thought that was a nice touch. With what they've had with that situation, fair play. But everything else,
absolutely, that goes without saying. That's beyond.
That's actually a nice touch from him to their fans. A way of doing it at the derby. I think that's actually a really lovely touch because let's be honest, they haven't really had that kind of thing to say it, and I don't think he really properly said it. But as a game as a whole, it's just that whole thing. You look at it and you go, there wasn't much in it.
I think they have, by the way. I want to push back on that. I saw quite a bit about Baldock at the time, and I think I did have a time to say, but yeah, derby is another time to be like.
I think it's the right. I think it's the right time. That's what I meant. I think it's the right time to do it, and they did say a lot. I meant it's the right time to have that kind of.
I know what you mean.
I
know what you mean.
Yeah.
I just wanted to push back and not just nod along because I have seen a lot of things that they have done as a club.
They've done a lot, but I think this is the first time they've properly done it where it's with the fans, and to do it at the derby, it makes sense, doesn't it? I think the thing annoying with this, it's the first time they've done the double in 19. We haven't won for 13. But what annoyed me is we were coming off back-to-back away wins. We were in form. They weren't. They weren't the form team. I had mates who were Blade fans who were worried they were going to lose. And the thing...
They could have done. If we'd have actually... Right. If we were a team that were remotely competent at set pieces, the amount of set pieces we had today, they would have lost.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think...
The amount of times we got a corner... And as Andy said in the stream, our players all lined up literally in the middle of the penalty box in a nice line. The ball goes nowhere near him.
Yep. Yeah.
What is our set piece coach doing?
I don't know. He came.
Other than that, I've not really seen an upturn in our set pieces.
He came in with a good pedigree, and then that was it. And I think we had that one from Iorfa. Where we're like, we might be actually turning it around. That's been about it. It's still been pretty poor on set pieces. And
the only thing I'm thinking in terms of a set piece coach is maybe he's good at setting the defensive nature of set pieces up. Because we're all right. I'd say we're better at defending them, which is actually a strength.
So what you're saying is we now need an attacking set piece coach to go with the defensive set piece coach.
They usually can do both, but he might just be, in our sense... His benefit might have come in the fact that he's actually quite good at organising the defensive set pieces, which are a big part of a set piece coach's job.
Yeah.
So I do want to give some credit there, but in terms of attacking them, we're still woeful.
I think the thing is, you looked at that game. I thought Windach wasn't great. He had chances, but nothing real clinical. I thought Charles was a little bit missing. I think Ingolson was a lot better when he came on. I just had the whole thing when you actually look at the whole game in a thing. No one really stood out, really, for Wednesday.
I thought Beadle made a few good saves he should be making.
Johnson came on and did well.
Yeah.
But
Marv looked really, really good actually when he came on. But again, he's a player that you can't see here at the end of the season. At the end of the day, we're a squad in transition that a lot of these players won't be here next season. A manager that probably won't be here next season. And I'm sorry, I can't let that go because That's looming, isn't it, Jake?
Every time I have a look at it and stuff, the tiny part of me like, it'll still be here. But realistically, I think he's going to Southampton. I just think he is. I think, but he's not going for the reason people think he is. He's going for an actual structure than actually leaving the club because it's a better club and stuff. He's actually going because it's structure. I think if when they had a structure, he wouldn't have a problem. He'd still be here and they'll be talking about it. But the issue is it still feels like we're going to be sat here some point middle of summer going, oh, he's gone. And then we're going to be rushing around for some random. Or
there's a point where you ask yourself the question, when do we put the podcast on hiatus under Chancery if we do lose lose Danny? Because it's a case of we come to a point where whenever there is progress, we take 10 steps back.
Yeah. I think for me,
this could very much be at the end of the season. Sorry, carry on.
I think for me, there's a rule of thought in my head, right? That Southampton still go elsewhere for cheapness, even though they'll have the parachute money. I still think, in my head, I think they go for someone like Liam Rosenior. Bring him out.
I think they go the cheap option because I think it's crap what people are talking about. People are just assuming that the release clause is going to be lowered. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't.
I think Chancery is going to stick to his guns. And in this case, even though I said, like, if you'd approach the situation a little bit differently, then maybe you can look for the future. But I don't think we'd be in this situation if he'd already spoken to Danny, before the January window, etc. Yeah. I did say, maybe you talk about lowering the release clause, etc. if we get to the end of the season and we're not in a situation here. However, the way it's all played out, I do believe that Chancery won't lower the release clause, nor should he. Southampton at the end of the season, with the disruption that they have caused, allegedly, they should pay through the nose.
Well, the thing is, what you could also remember, it's not the first time they've done this. They did it with Swansea. And they've only just recently settled a legal case with Swansea for when they took Russell Martin. So it's not like they haven't got priors for doing this. I think...
But that's also what I think will happen. I reckon they'll just do it and deal with it through the courts.
Yeah. I think for me...
Because unfortunately, football clubs can get away with that.
I've just got the thing right now is... The part of me that's happy there's an international break coming up, because it resets all the players. Danny gets to go back home for a couple of days, which is not talked about enough. He doesn't see them. They don't live here. I think there's a chance to get some of the players back. Akin did some minutes to try and get back to fitness. I think Akin coming back for those last couple of games could be really good. But I think you look at it with how our season's been. If we, being truthfully honest, losing both the derbies and staying up, I think people will took your hands off that.
Yeah.
You're going to look at it in perspective.
At the start of the season, yeah. But again, there's another, there is the foundation of Wednesday fans that would want it the other way. As long as we win the derbies, they don't really care.
Yeah.
Which actually, for me,
isn't
the best thing for the club and not a good view. I've always disagreed with that, always.
I do get it, but it's also, it is what it is. But the other thing I've got as well is Danny said, once we get to 50 points, he'll take the leash off. Now we're at 51 points now, I believe. Let's see if he sticks to what he said. Is he going to unleash it a little bit more? Because the next games we've got coming up are all winnable. Some of them are with teams at the bottom, which is always a bit scary because they've got more to play for. I have the thing that I don't want to see when the players take the foot off the gas because there's nothing to play for. There's still a chance of just going as high as we can from last season to now.
We're still only 6 points off the playoffs, so I'm like, does he take his foot off it now? But do you know what I'd do if I was manager? I'd look at the unlikeliness of us actually getting into those playoffs.
Yeah.
And I'd look for next season, right? So I would put Charles in net. I'd try and give Chalobah a run of games playing with Charles.
Play McNeil.
Yep, give McNeil some games. See what Kabachi's up to. play these players, but I don't think he'll do that because with us only ever being like 6 points within the playoffs, he knows that if we play a fully strength squad, we're only ever a couple of wins to get a run of being close to it.
Yeah.
And I get that. But if you look at our next fixtures, right, Cardiff, Hull, Blackburn, Oxford, Stoke, Middlesbrough, Portsmouth, Watford. It's unlikely we're going to win them all.
No.
I could see us beating Cardiff. I could see us beating Hull. I could see us beating Blackburn.
Yeah.
Like, depending on what Blackburn turn up.
How
You
many?
could see us beating.
How many is
this
them
is
at
the thing,
home
this is
and
what
how many
Danny's
is
gonna
them
look at.
away?
You could see us winning these. You what? Sorry.
Which ones are the home games and which ones the away games?
Well, that's it. That's it. I guess the benefit for Wednesday, we've only got, 4 of them are home games, 4 of them are away games. I wondered if we'd stacked our games a little bit more.
Cardiff's away, Hull's home, Blackburn's away, and that's the last 7:45 kickoff. Wednesday, Oxford home, Stoke away, I think. Yeah, away.
Yep.
Middlesbrough home, Pompey,
Portsmouth home,
and then Watford away.
Yeah.
Like I said, away from home, we are a much better team. We are a better team away from home. We play better football. Like, my worry about the Cardiff thing is, especially when we go to play them, are they going to do we're going to pull the trigger and sack him? Because they're very close to sacking him, apparently. So it's like, are we going to have that thing where we come against the new manager bounce when we come back from the international break? I think for me, you take this result with a pinch of salt and you just now go and see how long you get on. How you do now. It's a case of what'll be, will be. How many points, what position you get into. If you make playoffs, then great, whatever. But if you don't, it's a hell of a lot better than last season. And if we are going to be planning for a season without Danny next season, it needs to be planned now.
Needed to be planned as soon as he started hearing it. And I hope, if that's what he was saying, when he said there's something about Danny you can't say at the fan forum.
Yeah.
What he said when he did that. You would just hope that he knows in the back of his mind. He'll know what the situation is, so he has been planning it. That's the first thing I'd do as the owner. I'd be like, right, the fans hate me at the minute. They love this manager.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out over
That'll
the
turn
break.
a little bit. I'll still get stick in the summer, but there'll be a large subset of the fans that when they realise that actually, if Danny does go to Southampton, it was his choice and he wants to go, he's forcing his way out, then some of the fans will swing a little bit. And if I make the right move correctly, I could win back some face. That's what he should have been thinking back then. But it all depends on the next hire, Jake.
Yeah. Very much so.
Let's go. Go on.
I just don't want to be in a position where we're messing about again, waiting to bring someone in. You know what I mean?
You could see it though, couldn't you?
Oh, God, yeah, definitely.
Let's talk through the specifics of that game then. We've got the goalkeeper stats up here. We only made 1 save to their 3. So we put Cooper under a bit more pressure. 3 good saves. He had to punch it away once. 9 goal kicks each. So their keeper was a little bit busier than ours in terms of saves. Only a little bit though.
But we had
Wednesday put in 14 tackles to their 12.
Yeah.
We only won 6 of them. They won all 12 of their tackles. Now that shows the quality they had in that department. We had 14 shots to their 9. 3 of ours were on target. 2 of theirs were on target.
Yep.
And that's, again, our situation all over the shop. 52% possession for us. So, again, slightly better on the ball.
Again, when you've got 14 shots, you want at least 8 of them on target. Minimum.
Yeah. Not 3. And that's where a lot of our problems come in.
Yep.
So, again, a game we didn't deserve to lose, but it's a derby. The result is what sticks through time, not the performance. Unfortunately, that is the case, right? Doesn't matter how well we played in both derbies and how much there should have been a draw, whatever.
You don't get a point for how good you played and how it's been.
There's not going to be many fans in 10 years that look back at derbies and go, oh, that weren't them 1-0s that season, the last time United did the double over Wednesday.
The question is, when is the next one going to be? Because potentially with this investment they got, it could be a long time.
The one thing the one fear I have as a Wednesday fan about United is Wilder can do really well in the Championship. His football is terrible, but he gets results and he gets these awful game good results. I'd hate to watch it week in, week out. It just wouldn't fill me with any. You know what I like is when we've got like a Danny side and we're in our pomp sort of thing, we look great on the ball as well. And it's good to watch and we get the result. But you can have the other end of that. What I worry about is them getting to the Prem and doing like a Forest, investing and getting to a point where they then get a manager that's a bit exciting.
And see it.
That's my worry. Because at the minute, I'm telling you, if they go up with Wilder, they'll be scrapping it. He won't do what he did a few seasons ago and look for the play. Well, I doubt he'd do it. Get outside of the sort of like where they did really well in that first season in the Prem. I don't think they're cut out for that anymore. Their squad would struggle. But if they actually invested well,
they're going to invest.
They got a manager that
they're going to invest.
That was looking the other way. You what? Sorry,
they are investing big in the summer.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And that's the worry about it, I guess. But again, I really want to get back to the thing because it's the Mad Men meme, isn't it? I don't really think about you at all. That is me with Sheffield United most of the time. And it will, when the derbies are out of there, I guess it'll go back to that. But I really don't want it to be a case of where they do so well in the Prem that they're always there because I enjoy watching the Prem. Right. Let's talk about the other game that happened this week, which was a bit more favourable to Wednesday, but not in the second half. Talk me through the Norwich game. We've done this backwards today, but talk me through the Norwich game.
The Norwich game was weird because we were really poor coming out the traps. We were just weren't at it, weren't ready, weren't up for it at all. And you're like, we needed something to change. And he does. The one thing I will give Danny credit for, and I've watched a couple of the Leeds United games because they're on at like midday, Barker doesn't do changes until like really late, where Danny is proactive. If there's going to be a change, he'll make changes at half time. He'll change it up. He changed it completely up in the second half. Completely different lineup to a point. Changed how we played, changed how we were at the back. He took Charles off to protect him for this game, something people have been calling for the last two. And we slowly got back into it. Again, you speak about corners, but the goal we scored here was a corner. It was a freak goal because I don't think it had any power on it. Windass then scored an absolute cracking goal. And then Gassama gets us all 3 points. And you look at the game going into the derby, in hindsight, you go, we're up for this, we're ready for this. This is 2 wins on the road, back to back, where the players haven't been home and stuff, so they've had no comforts and stuff like that. And they've managed to get 2 great results, especially with a Norwich team who have been blowing hot and cold at times. But Norwich fans were saying they do this. They go ahead and then they don't able to hold the lead. We are the kings of coming back from behind to get all 3 points normally. It's what we're good at. I think we've got 20 points from losing positions. It's something daft. And I bet you most of them are from away games. Away games, we can do it. Home games, we can't. I thought this was an excellent game for us and we were looking good. The only issue I had with this game was that we probably used a lot of energy in it. But I did worry that this was an away game. And I did worry going into the home game, it would be completely different atmosphere.
Do you know weirdly how this game gave me a weird bit of hope for next season?
Go on.
Because when Shea Charles came off, we actually looked better. And it's not because Shea Charles were off the pitch, but it's because Chalobah had a fantastic
He was
game.
fantastic. Yeah, he was really good.
And I said at the start of the season, he will have standout appearances for us, but I worry about his injury record. It's a hell of a pickup on a free transfer.
It's just keeping him
I
fit.
actually think if, like with Max Lowe until today, obviously we'll need to talk about that actually because we don't know what the injury situation is with Max Lowe. But if we can sort of do the thing where we sort his injury record out Chalobah, he's 30 years old, will be a very good stopgap until for probably 2 to 3 years, until we found maybe a younger player to be that defensive midfield role. It's the question is, can he get the consistency of being fit in there, which is why you might need some loan players just to back him up, etc. But I just think Chalobah is a class player.
I'll tell you something, Ingolson, the last 3 games, I think he wasn't bad today. Ingolson's been fantastic. Ingolson's starting to show you what he can do, but again, Danny said it in an interview. He's used to playing 36 odd games a season, not 40. So it'd been managing him in that sense. And you look at the whole situation with Matt Lowe coming off. The only saving grace we got with that is that we got 2 weeks, no games. You can get him recovered. Yes. You can go find out what it is. You can just relax. You can try and get it sorted straight away. It's the way he kicked it. It's the way he kicked it out of play to go, I'm not good here. But that being said, Paul came on and did well. Paul can do that role. But you look at us this season, if you actually look at it as a whole, not every season you get all 3 centre-backs injured. That's just a Wednesday thing. Let's be fair. That doesn't happen for most clubs. We lost all 3 centre-backs at one point. And the thing with Beadle...
Iorfa's back. Awekwe's doing well.
Akin could be back after the break.
Yeah, just please don't put Akin at left back if Max Lowe's out.
No, put him as centre-back, put Polar. And you also look at the pickup with Hatase, who's fantastic. And he's only showed little bits up. The thing is, for me, it's good and all, but we lack just that little bit of depth back there when we could have done with a bit more. It's 2 transfer windows now. We wanted defenders. 2 transfer windows. We wanted another striker. We didn't get either. And that's one of the things where you look, well, technically you got Hatase, but we could have done with an actual centre-back. But you look at it and you just go, that little bit extra. But is it the case that we squeezed enough out of what we had to get where we are this season? And maybe it's something we need to look at, because like in the commentary, it was interesting how we were asking Sheffield United and Rotherham if we can use their training pitches because ours were frozen. We shouldn't be knocking on other people's doors to be training thing. If he can get a bank loan or something to do it, find some bloody land in Sheffield and build a training ground. Give the land back to Sheffield City Council. Because
everyone always talks about that land across from Meadowhall, and I don't really understand why the reasoning behind that hasn't been done.
Well, that's now becoming a Costco. Not Costco. Aldi and the coffee stuff. It's been a retail park. The thing is, we had that. That was ours. One. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a retail park across from the
But there doesn't need... You see, that's the thing. That's like that. We don't need another retail park there. There's already 2 around it. So it's like...
You get another one.
It'd have made sense as well, though, because it's off the transport links. And like a lot of people used to say, oh, we'll put a stadium there and move Hillsborough and stuff. And that's a long, long way off, guys.
Shall I tell you what my biggest worry is with our training ground? It's not the training ground. It's Sheffield City Council going, we're selling it. We pay, I think we rent it off Sheffield City Council. My worry is that they go, we're selling this up. And then DC buys it and goes, look, I bought your training ground. I said, no, you bought what we already had. That's not an improvement.
Is part of the reasoning we don't invest in Middlewood, though? Because we don't own it.
Could be. I know when Chancery first came in, he looked at the land behind us, what's it called? I think it's South Yorkshire Police train the police dogs there, and it's the cricket ground and rugby pitches and stuff. We looked at potentially buying that, and they were just like, no. And then after that, he's like, all right, I'll just stay here. It's just that weird thing. I wish he put more money into infrastructure than players. As daft as that sounds, I would have preferred that than 10 million on Jordan Rose. I'd rather have 10 million on somewhere else. But hindsight, that whole thing, he could have been the difference between playoffs, Premiership and whatever, and it just wasn't. That's the risk you take.
I try not to. I said this to Jack last week. I try not to dwell too much on that anymore because it's
the past is the past. It's happened. It was 2017 when it happened. It's been ages.
Yeah, but it's the time of sort of investment is passing us by because the problem you've got is we could do things slowly, but will the fans accept it? We probably do need throw someone like Danny Rull at it, get us up to the Premier League, crap or bust. Right?
We need to do Burnley. We need to do Burnley
a parachute payment structure and then slowly phase some of that money off into development.
No, this is what Burnley did. When Sean Dyche got Burnley up the first time, they literally built a championship squad in the Prem, got relegated. The money that they had from parachute payments and stuff and the TV money they made, they put it into building a training ground. Now look at where, they are in the championship right now, but look at where they've been. Look at what they now produce as their own players. It's bad when we signed Leon Best a couple of seasons ago. He turned around and said, it's like when I first signed when I was 18. That's embarrassing. That when he signed it hadn't changed since he was 18.
Just a couple of seasons ago.
Yep.
Jay, that was in 2014.
It's still embarrassing though. 18.
I know it is. Just because when you said it a couple of seasons ago.
No, but it's still the point. The point still stands.
No, I know.
You can't.
I know what your point was. It's just.
I know it's 2014.
11 years ago.
And it's 11 years ago. I get it. I understand it. And it will have changed a lot now. But that's the point.
I don't think it has. In any way, that reinforces your point. I was just calling you old because 11 years ago was a couple of seasons ago to you.
But the thing is, for me, we have put in the new buildings. There is new buildings in there now. But it's like one of the things when we interviewed the kit man. Not kit man. What's he called? Groundsman. He turned around and went, I've managed to get the club to get some new covers for the training pictures. Why is it taking this long for us to get new cover for the training pictures?
Yeah, that's poor.
I'm sorry, we go through groundsmen like they're mints. We have an advertisement every season. New groundsman. What is making them leave? Well, I know what's making them leave, but what is making them leave so often? But it is this thing that annoys me because you look at what everyone's doing and how far behind our thing is. We got clubs in League 2 who don't have to then go train on their pitch because their training ground is solid. It done my head in.
It's not, you wouldn't think it's, because you could just repurpose the land, you'd think. Like, you could just buy somewhere and repurpose it. Like, I just think, like, even like there's half of the factories district that's nothing's happening with it, and it's just all built, and they're not even listed offering. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there'd be money in it, but yeah. Just again, I think we're going to invest in playing staff because Chansiri is right in one thing when he says the fans want players. We do. We'd like a balance of them. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be or nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be one thing or the other. You can do both.
Can we also say about the fact we packed Hillsborough today and sold out? The ticket pricing structure again was awful.
Yeah, it was a sellout.
Yeah, and it would sell out. So the fans are there. Like, we even turn up with bad prices. Do you know what I mean? And
you look at that pit today. That pit looks like it's the end of the season. Not like we got 8 games left.
I said it looks like made, innit?
Yeah, and the thing is that little things like this add up to your season. Little things like this change how your season is. If we weren't having to play on the pitch, does it mean we'd be able to play the style of football Danny wanted to? It's little things like this that you don't think about.
That was in my brain a little bit, you know, when you were just saying, like, we're so bad at home. I'm like, is it because other people's grounds are better than ours?
Yeah, I thought of this for a while.
On our pitch.
I generally thought about it. It's like we can go to away and go, oh, wow, this is a carpet. We can play the style of football I want.
Because we play good football, and that usually requires a good pitch.
Yeah.
And if our pitch isn't the standard of that, then you would imagine that being a problem. Right, let's pick some positives because we're not really doing the news and everything today.
No.
Gassama still looks fantastic.
Yep.
Was marked out of the game today, but is a player, is an asset.
Yeah.
We've got 8 games after the international break, which are a fresh 8 games, a free hit to see, will we go for the... I reckon you get 6 points when we come back, then you talk about potentially doing a run and going for those playoffs again.
Yep.
You get anything less than 6 points, we all stop talking about the playoffs. Please play Pierce Charles. Please start looking for next season, Danny. Even if you're not going to be here, let's have a look at those players. Get some of them in the shop window. Get some of them.
Controversially,
proper end of season.
I'm going to get slated for this, but I actually think Gassama is one of those players. If a good offer comes in the summer, you sell him. And
15 million.
And you use that money to fund your next rebuild. You don't.
15 million pounds.
Shea Charles went for 10 and he wasn't even playing.
Yep. This is what I'm saying. So,
15 million, take away 30% to PSG or 25. I can't remember.
James Trafford went in 2023. This is a goalkeeper whose values are notoriously lower than attacking players. £15 million from Man City to Burnley. But with add-ons, the deal could reach 19 million.
Right. Here's the difference, though. Young English player tax.
Yes. Yeah, but also, right, at that point, he'd only made loan appearances at Accrington and Bolton. And he went for that much.
Yeah.
Gassama is playing as an attacking player in this team, which is why I'm saying 15 million. Because technically, if he was probably a young English player, if you're going off that logic, he'd be 20 plus.
Yeah.
15 million pounds for that player who has shown in a season he's gone from just being a technical player to somebody. Do you know, it's the old saying, and I can't liken him to Ronaldo, but do you remember when Ronaldo bulked up?
Yes.
And went from being a skinny, lad that did a load of stepovers to someone who was also a physical powerhouse.
Yeah.
Gassama has got in the gym and he's bulked it, but he's not bulked it to a point where he's like hench. He's just a unit now. So he's got his technicality, but he's also got the strength.
He won't get muscle. What I want to see is I want to put McNeil on the same training path we put Gassama on in the summer.
Well, the thing is, I think Nick McNeil's further back. We do have a Cadamartri coming into it, and it's a case of seeing how he comes in, and we look at it. I hope he doesn't get too attached to Lincoln. I hope he comes home and realizes that he's got a shot. He should. If I was Cadamartri right now, I'd be looking at our games going, well, they ain't got a striker. Next season, I'm vying for that position. I'm having it.
Yeah.
But yeah, here's what we're going to do over the international break. We're going to look ahead to the games coming up. We'll do a bit of England talk. We'll probably do a draft update. We might not stick to the regular format, so don't expect it to drop on the same days it always drops on, guys. It'll be a bit all over the place over the international break, but we will be back and we will be getting content throughout the international break. But before we end today, Jake, do you have anything else to say?
Just don't ruin your little break away from football with whatever you're doing. At the end of the day, football, it happens. We love it when we win and when we lose. Don't take this one game as it's at the end. We've just done 2 back-to-back wins. If I was saying before the game, if we came away from this with 7 points from the last 3, I was going to be happy. We got 6 out the last 3. That's more than I thought we were going to go with those away games. At the end of the day, enjoy the break from football and just enjoy your family, enjoy time, just doing something that's not football related.
First thing I'll say, remember the Macron sales on.
Yes.
That's not an ad, but go and get some cheap kit while they're actually affordable prices. You picked anything up?
I know you. I picked my niece up a winter shirt. Should have been 53 quid. I think we paid 25.
That's nice. Which one?
Latest this season's. This one.
Oh, that one. Yeah, very nice. And also, I will say, because some people on the internet think if you don't say things publicly, you don't say things privately. Jake, in terms of yourself, I'm glad you're back on the podcast.
Thank you, mate.
I know you've had a hard time with family bereavement, etc. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're talking to us, and I'm glad we can get back to some normality for you. Do miss you when you're not here.
Much appreciated, mate.
But that
it's always fun watching you try and wrangle Jack and vice versa. I think we both have messages when we're both not on the pod at the same time. We both got Jack and going, so how did babysitting go?
Yeah, that's pretty much it is. It's like, oh, I'm babysitting this week then. But
we love you, Jack, by the way. Yeah. That's not an insult.
Yeah, love's a strong word. But take care, guys. And we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See ya.